Today is October 18th, 2014, and this is episode 154. This program is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Cryptocurrency is new, highly experimental, and we're not experts, just obsessed companions walking the road towards a more peer-to-peer future. Welcome to Let's Talk Bitcoin, a twice-weekly show about the ideas, people, and projects building the digital economy and the future of money. My name is Adam B. Levine, and today we're on the road. First up, Stephanie Murphy interviews the team at Blocktech from the floor of the Inside Bitcoin's Las Vegas conference. Then, Rob Mitchell talks to Dan Roseman, CEO of Coinality.com and organizer of now the third Bitcoin job fair. And finally, we're back in Vegas learning about Airbits, a consumer-friendly wallet and business directory with a little dark wallet technology mixed in. Enjoy the show.
Okay, this is Stephanie with Let's Talk Bitcoin. I'm here at the Inside Bitcoin's Las Vegas conference with Blockchain Technology Group, not to be confused with blockchain.info. So they call themselves Blocktech, right?
Yes, blocktech.com.
All right, so we've got Ryan Taylor. He is the, what do you do with Blocktech?
I'm the front-end developer for our various projects.
Okay, and you also are with Bitcoin Magazine. And we've got Amy Elizabeth, right?
Yes, and I'm the director of communications.
and we also have?
I'm Joe Fischella. I'm the back-end engineer, and I'm also the lead developer of Coin.
Okay, Coin. We'll talk about that in a moment, because what you guys have done that you were just showing me, this is really cool. You've made a blockchain, an app, a bot, a program, something?
It's a distributed application. So Blockchain Technology Group has kind of four departments: distributed applications, financial services, hardware, and consulting. And one of our kind of most passionate parts of our company are distributed applications, because we think that they can do so many cool things. And our first one is Alexandria. Should I talk about that? Or
yeah, please. So what's Alexandria?
So Alexandria keeps an unalterable record of history.
And please get the reference in the name to the Library of Alexandria, which was burned down by Christians.
Right, exactly.
Destroying thousands of books worth of history.
Right, the reference is so great because it's known as the destruction of cultural knowledge, and so we're sort of trying to rebuild that in a way, and to rebuild it in a way where the story is accurate. So Alexandria keeps the historical record intact by putting all of the information into a blockchain so that it can't be censored or edited after the fact. We like to say that it's history written by everyone, not just the victors.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. So the blockchain that you're using is Coin, and the reason for that is because Coin has the ability to encode larger pieces of plain text into the blockchain than Bitcoin. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Coin was created about a year and a half ago, and the purpose was to create maybe a decentralized Twitter or repository for information in the blockchain. It's super easy to put information into the blockchain. You just write a message into the client, or when you're sending RPC commands to the terminal, you can add them really easily at the end. It appends it to the transaction, and you pay a little bit of a minor fee on top of that, but that's usual for any blockchain storing information in it. So Coin is able to really easily save these messages, put them into the blockchain, and therefore distribute the information to everyone in the world who has that program.
Okay, so right now, Alexandria is scraping Twitter for just news about certain topics, and what you've got here in this app is a timeline and a word cloud of different things. Right now, it's Jimmy Fallon, Obama, Hong Kong, NFL, Ukraine, Bitcoin, Chicago, and Syria. So obviously some stuff, and Ebola, how could I forget? So obviously some stuff is going on in the world right now, and if you click on any of these words in the word cloud, it'll show you the tweets. And so how are you, this is cool. I have a bunch of questions on it, but how are you paying for it if you have to pay a transaction fee for every piece of data that's written into the Coin blockchain?
Great question. Actually, we're providing the funds for the miner fees right now, but in the future there will be an open market for bids on the network. So anyone who wants to create an archive and maybe archive McDonald's or Yankees or something like that, if that's important to them, or Venezuela or somewhere where tweets might be deleted, they can pay for that over the internet and pay another miner or librarian in this case for that work done. So it creates this open market where people can charge for their computers' resources and therefore pay the miners for the work that's being done on the network.
Does that create an incentive for people to basically buy what goes into the historical record, though?
Possibly. That's why in these types of systems, in any type of system, Sybil attacks, who holds private keys, things like that, it's very important to have like a reputation that's good on the network. So we're actually planning on having people be able to browse through other archives and see if they've been reputable and have like stayed true to, going through with their deals and recording information that's correct.
That's an interesting solution. Okay, so this, right now, as it stands, Alexandria, depends on both Twitter and Florin Coin. So what happens if something happens to Florin Coin, if it's attacked or whatever? Or what happens if Twitter says, nope, you can't have my API, you can't use this anymore?
Good questions. So I'll address the first one first. We're mostly coin agnostic at Blocktech. I think the technology of the blockchain is really important no matter what coin you're using. So we only use Florin Coin because we think it's really easy to use. And for development processes, for making things really fast, we had to get this done really quickly before Vegas. It was totally the right tool for the job. So from an engineering perspective, it just made sense. On the other hand, Twitter blocking us would kind of be the best thing to happen. I think they would have to rewrite their entire API rules to be able to stop this from happening. What's really limiting you? Like the person that's like recording the API stuff, or is it the IP address? Like they would have to really clearly define like who's able to get data from their server. So if they were to block us, it's kind of impossible because anyone that has the software can be able to do it. I think that Twitter would have to entirely close down their API to be able to stop this type of thing from happening. And that would be like a really good, case in point, like we really need this. Like there's really, really a lot of control over information. So,
right. Okay, so I want to also ask you about something else that I heard today. There was someone from Blocktech on a panel that I was at here at the conference, and they said that you're working on a coin-agnostic Bitcoin vending machine, or a coin vending machine that you can build in your garage for $500. That's a great elevator pitch. Tell me more about that.
So I would be happy to tell you more about it, but I think that you should talk to Loring and Ryan, the designers of it.
Okay.
Because he has a great pitch.
They're a little bit occupied, but what is it basically?
Okay, so basically what it is you can buy very standard components on the internet for a few $100s, make a trip to Home Depot, and then if you're handy, assemble it following our step-by-step directions in your garage. It does...
This is all so nerdy. I love it.
So why we're making all of our hardware open source and publishing the plans is because we used to be involved in manufacturing, and we think that the way that manufacturing currently happens is bad for everyone involved. People, the planet, just the whole thing is just bad. And so we have a longer vision involved in kind of restructuring manufacturing, but the first step is this open source hardware. But it also has the added benefit of growing the whole blockchain ecosystem, right? Because the more access, the more people can participate. And something that you can make for less than $500 makes it accessible to just about anyone.
Yeah.
The enclosure is completely up to you. We put it in an ammo can because it's metal, it was handy, it was easy. But you could make it into anything, really. You could make it huge and bolt it down if you wanted something in one place. You could put it, Lauren keeps talking about putting one in a backpack and carrying it around with him. I mean, you could do anything. It's up to you.
A mobile coin ATM, not even Bitcoin, because it's, as we said before, it's coin agnostic. So you could make it dispense any kind of coin, essentially, right?
Right, exactly. They're working on that right now. Right now it's just doing Bitcoin, but the other thing that it's doing right now is you can set up an archive, an Alexandria archive, through the ATM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like this complete ecosystem.
That's cool. Do you want to tell me more about that, Ryan?
Well, yeah, I mean, we needed a way for anyone to create an archive in Alexandria. So we'll be doing that through our software, which is open source, so they can download it from GitHub, install it on their computer, and create the archive that way, in which case they can be their own librarian as well and do all of the archiving, too. In addition to doing that...
A bunch of Hypatias walking around, right? She was the librarian at the Library of Alexandria.
Oh, nice. Yeah, good call. And so they can do it through their own software. They can come to our website and start an Alexandria archive. Or they can go to one of these coin-agnostic ATMs, and through a very simple UI, they can just fill in the keyword that they want to start archiving, a username, geolocation if they want to start capturing tweets from a specific region, and then they just pay through it straight through the ATM, and it starts archiving. The librarian does.
Wow, that's wild and really cool.
I would also say that one of the things that we're really excited about is that our user experience designer, worked at Apple for 10 years, and so his design is just really beautiful and really simple, and so it kind of, the ATM and Alexandria both kind of shine because of that. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess final question, Blocktech really strikes me from just what I know right now as a company that's not like, yeah, let's get bought out by Google or let's like make a stock that was worth a lot of money. Like, what's the kind of philosophy behind the company, and where are you going with it? What's the end game?
So everyone involved in Blocktech is involved because we really agree about values. So we value... sorry, I'm...
Oh, no, that's fine. We can edit the
Okay,
end.
thank you. So we value equality, open source, social justice, and ecological responsibility, kind of in a nutshell, right? Mm-hmm. And so we think, or at least for my own experience, I've kind of felt frustrated until I learned about the blockchain. Like, how could I live my values, really genuinely live them? And the blockchain, I think, provides a lot of solutions to those issues. And I think that it's really incredible that that core technology almost shares those values with me. Mm-hmm. And so the community around blockchains, the blockchain itself, and Blocktech kind of are all coming together to say, like, this is how we can change the future, like really actually change it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're all in this, and that's why we have kind of this huge, crazy vision.
Cool. All right, well, where can people find out more, and where can they get in touch with you?
Blocktech.com.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
Rob Mitchell, I'm here with Dan Roseman, the man behind Coinality, and now the third Bitcoin job fair. How's this going for you?
So far, so good. You know, the fun thing about these events is that it shows a really important aspect of Bitcoin that often gets overlooked, which is that, yes, Bitcoin is great for transferring money and it is great for the unbanked, but it's also great for creating jobs. And that's a discussion that I think gets overlooked quite a lot. And so we're here demonstrating that, you know, Bitcoin is hiring and it's creating real valuable job creation.
That's a great point, and I see people, they're not just looking for technical, people, they're looking for every kind of job that a company needs, so it's...
Yeah, and when it first started, when we launched Coinality.com in September of last year, I'd say 95% of the jobs were technical. They're all looking to build a minimally viable product, and to do that, you have to have coders, to build it. But one thing we've noticed, especially this year, is that as these companies get established, especially the bigger ones like Bitcoin, like Coinbase and BitPay, they're starting to hire for the full spectrum of job positions, marketing, legal, sales, and so it's exciting to see these companies grow up.
Do you have another job fair already planned, or you just kind of...
We have one in mind, and we're probably going to go back up to the San Francisco Bay Area and probably hold it up at the Plug and Play Tech Center. It was a fantastic venue, and we had tremendous success there for our first event. And so we've actually gotten a lot of inquiries from companies that are based up there saying, hey, we missed the first one, when are we going to be able to do this again? And so we're more likely than not going to be doing the next event up there.
So how's Coinality doing?
Coinality's doing well. We are working on Coinality.io, which is going to be a freelancer platform. We'll keep Coinality.com, which will be a free website, that anyone can use. Anyone can post a job and anyone can post a resume. The difference is with Coinality.io, we're going to be restricting the developers on this site. So we'll be interviewing developers. We'll be pre-vetting them, making sure they know their stuff, making sure they're effective communicators, and really upping the level of talent that people have access to. So
I didn't realize Coinality is free on both sides.
Coinality.com is free on both sides.
So how do
it
you
does not make money? We get asked that question all the time. Simply, we do not make money. The site is cheap enough to run at this point that we don't need to make any money off it, and we like to offer it as a free service, and we like to keep it that way.
Well, how does Dan Roseman pay the bills?
Well, Dan Roseman works as a contractor for Coinbase. If Coinality.io is successful enough where it's able to replace my income from Coinbase, I'm going to focus my energy, on Coinality. But we got a long ways to go.
Is there anything else interesting that you want to talk about that you're doing? Or
no, just we're really excited about Coinality.io. I think it's really going to blow people away. Coinality.com is a nice site. It's a simple site. It's very basic, but Coinality.io is going to have some really advanced features. We have a custom implementation of Copay for Bitcoin escrow. We're going to have a really great reputation system, a beautiful interface, and so I think people are going to be really excited about it.
Okay, and what will the cost be for that?
We haven't quite settled on the percentage fee, but we're going to take a percentage of the projects that get bidded and accepted on. We'll take a percentage of consultations because in addition to being able to hire developers, you can simply pay for hourly or half-hourly consultations with them. So we'll be taking a very small percentage of those contracts.
So I know it was just you for a while administering the site, and you've hired some programmers now?
It's still me.
It's still just you?
It's still just me.
I remember you at that 5-minute deal that you were saying you were looking for some help.
Yeah. Well, we're a bootstrap operation, and it would be nice to have some help, but we can't afford it at the moment.
Okay.
But, again, the thing is we're building a service for a market that doesn't quite exist yet.
Sure.
So,
early days.
Yeah. And our thought is that if Bitcoin is successful, then this is going to be a very valuable service. And so we're rooting for Bitcoin.
All right. And I guess just because, I don't know if you've noticed today, we're hitting some new kind of short-term lows. Have any thoughts on the price?
Well, so for people like me that earn their income in Bitcoin, Coinbase pays me 100% in Bitcoin. And for people like me that also believe in the long-term viability for Bitcoin, it's exciting times. When payday comes around, I'll be getting more Bitcoin than I normally get. And my faith hasn't changed in the currency. I'll be buying Bitcoin at 1,000, I'll be buying it at 100. So
I'm just always curious on people's views. Why do you think Bitcoin is as low as it is right now?
It is impossible to tell, but I get the sense that with each piece of good news that comes out, we lose a little bit of value. I'm not quite sure why that is.
Is that inverse relationship? I've been noticing that. Yeah.
I do get a feeling that there's probably some early adopters and or some whales out there that can manipulate the market pretty effectively because it's teeny tiny still. So if you have a few $1 million, you can control the price.
I guess I will ask, for someone who is clearly all in Bitcoin, you must have a little crack of sometimes what if.
Yeah, well, look, I would be silly to think that there's no chance that Bitcoin will fail. There's certainly a chance that Bitcoin will fail. I hope that I am in tune enough with the technology and the alternatives out there to be able to know what will replace Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin's out, and it's not going to go anywhere. And this, peer-to-peer method of transacting is going to stay. It's going to stick. I think that decentralization is going to be a big theme, not just in money, but you see it in things like Uber and Airbnb. Sure, those are centralized services, but they are connecting, peers to peers.
Yeah, clearly what you're doing, even if the currency were to fail, the technology is surely not going to fail, and you are going to be riding the technology of Bitcoin, whether it's a different currency that takes over, I guess.
That's exactly right. And, I'm rooting for it.
This episode is brought to you by CryptoKit.com, the easiest, fastest way to spend Bitcoins right from your browser. There are no sponsors today, but I think I've mentioned in the past that I like to consult. I've been cryptocurrency only, though. Recently, I was invited to join the Beyond Bitcoin Expert Calling Network, put together by the team at Mint Combine and Rick Willard. And I figured, what the heck, let's see what happens. Some other participating names are AML specialist Juan Llanos, Joe Lubin of Ethereum, and singer-songwriter Tatiana Moroz. Here's where I plaster a big giant disclaimer that I'm not a certified expert in anything, just a kind of obsessive guy who spends way too much of his time thinking about the world of cryptocurrency. You can learn more at mc.expertcallingnetwork.com. And of course, if you'd rather use Bitcoin or LTB coin to secure an hour of my time, I can't necessarily speak for anybody else on that list, you can always send an email to adam@letstalkbitcoin.com with any questions, or just to schedule, you can send it to crystal@letstalkbitcoin.com. That's KRYSTAL@letstalkbitcoin.com. Today's magic word is travel. 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 You've got until the 22nd of October to visit letstalkbitcoin.com and enter the magic word for your share of the listener rewards. Back to the show.
Hi, I'm Stephanie for Let's Talk Bitcoin. I'm here at Inside Bitcoin's Las Vegas conference, and I'm with Paul Pui and William Swanson from Airbits. Hey, guys.
Hi, Stephanie. So happy to be on the show. Loved your show. I've been listening to it since April of last year.
Oh, stop. Thank you, though.
Hello, let's talk Bitcoins.
All right, let's talk Bitcoin. So I'll let you guys explain what you do, but I want to not only talk about what Airbits is and what it does and how it's getting ready to come out, but also like on the back end, what's going on, because you guys are doing something kind of unique with the implementation of Bitcoin that you use with Airbits. So first of all, Paul, tell me what is the elevator pitch for Airbits? What do you guys do?
So our goal with Airbits is to bring Bitcoin to the masses through a great user experience. So we do a lot in the back end and on the front end to do that. We had launched our merchant directory in April, so it's a way for people to find merchants and businesses in the Bitcoin space and the ones that take Bitcoin. And then just today at the Inside Bitcoin's conference here in Vegas, we launched our integrated mobile wallet. And it brings familiarity to Bitcoin for people that are accustomed to mobile banking. So the creation of a wallet is simply a login and a password and a 4-digit PIN, which a lot of people are accustomed to. And with that, we've implemented on the back end client-side encryption of all the user's data, all of the user's keys, in addition to device-to-device synchronization using a peer-to-peer network. So as soon as a user has an account and a wallet with Airbits, they could just destroy their phone, lose it, and know that it's encrypted, as well as backed up, so they just get another phone, whether it's iOS or Android, use a login and password, and they have full access to all of their information, including the metadata, which they may have added to their transactions. And that's an entire whole feature of Airbits that's fairly unique in the Bitcoin space.
So are you talking about labeling transactions, basically?
Exactly. So labeling transactions with a payee information, maybe out of your address book, or nicely even out of our merchant directory. So after you've spent money at a cafe, you tap on the payee field, and oh, look, it's the cafe right in front of you because that's where you're standing. Tap on that. Add a category such as food and dining. And we also, very important for IRS guidelines, we save the fiat value of the transaction at the time of the transaction, which you can then export to CSV and import into your financial software later.
Yeah, I mean, not just for taxes, but it's useful to know anyway, like how much did I actually spend on that cup of coffee or burger or whatever. So, okay, so it's client side, it's encrypted on the client side, and if you lose your device, that means you can get a new device and put in your PIN and password, and you have all the same information in there. But what about for privacy? Like, could somebody else tell that you went to Johnny Rockets and paid for a hamburger with Bitcoin or whatever?
No, absolutely not.
You label it?
Correct. If you label it Johnny Rockets and you mentioned it was food and dining, all of that information is locally client-side encrypted and only accessible to you or anyone that you give access to that exact account. So privacy is a key feature of our wallet. And in addition to that metadata not being accessible by anybody else, it's not accessible by us. And we can't associate your account with any transactions, not even public keys, which is fairly unique. A lot of wallets will at least be able to see that you have a public address with them. We cannot.
So that's interesting. It sounds like you're trying on one hand to really bring about this mainstream adoption, but you're not sacrificing a lot of the cool things about Bitcoin, like the potential for a little bit of privacy and also the encryption that you can use, right?
Absolutely. We are core believers in the fundamentals and core values of Bitcoin, but we also believe that in order for it to be adopted, we need to make it familiar. So we're trying to bring a user experience, interface, and flow that people are accustomed to. Of course, there's a few things they have to get used to with Bitcoin, but once again, still retaining those core values because we believe in them so much.
So what makes you different from other companies who are trying to do the same thing? Because it is kind of a competitive space right now where companies are trying to bring Bitcoin mainstream. What makes Airbits different?
The big thing is that we still believe in the core values. And I think a lot of the companies that are trying to bring Bitcoin mainstream either fail in the sense that they still keep a lot of the things that are unfamiliar to average users, such as, go back up your money. Average user doesn't have the concept of backing up their money. Or go encrypt your money. Well, people don't want to think of having to encrypt their money. Or they take the exact opposite approach. They're a hosted wallet. They hold your money for you. They have complete control, and they need insane amounts of AML, KYC, regulatory burden. And they spend millions of dollars on lawyers and on regulatory compliance, whereas we'd rather spend those dollars on great engineering, great user experience, and getting it out to the masses.
Right. So you're never actually touching anyone's Bitcoins because you don't have the private keys.
Absolutely. We don't have the private keys, and more importantly, we don't even have the public addresses, and we don't have any of the metadata.
All right. Right on. So I want to ask you, William, a little bit about the back end of Airbits. You told me before we started this interview off the air that you're using LibBitcoin as your back end, which is built by Amir Taki. It's a totally alternative implementation of Bitcoin. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And we did that for privacy. We did that for stability. We wanted to have something that we could run on the server, but at the same time, have a lightweight experience on the phone. And of all the server options that we had, there were some that were based on Satoshi's client. There's BTCD, and there was LibBitcoin. And at the time, LibBitcoin was the obvious winner, just because of the values of the people who developed it and because of its technical excellence.
Okay, and when you're talking about server, you're talking about accessing a copy of most of the blockchain on a server? Is that what you're talking about?
Right. So the idea is we don't want to store the blockchain on the phone because they would not fit. So we just want to store the transactions and cache the things that we care about locally, and then leave the rest of the blockchain up on the server.
Right. Got it. Okay, so you told me that you're basically... Dark Wallet right now is still in beta, and you actually are putting out a product very shortly here, or maybe it's already out?
It's already launched today, so people can download Airbits, the wallet and business directory on their iOS and Android phone today.
Excellent. So it's out yet before Dark Wallet basically is ready for prime time, right?
Yeah, not to steal their thunder, but we're the first wallet that's actually using LibBitcoin in actual production right now today.
That's pretty cool. So I mean, I guess you told me sort of why you decided to do that, but like what has that process been like? I mean, have you kind of contributed code to it as well?
Yeah, when we first came to LibBitcoin, it was not able to run on Android or iOS. It depended on a lot of other libraries, and we had to port all of those libraries, first of all, to Android and iOS. So we've done that. Now we have it compiling. We fixed all the bugs, the Android and iOS compatibility bugs. And then when we tried to actually build our wallet on top of it, we realized there was no good client library to talk to the server. So we re-implemented that as well, and we've contributed that open source too. So we've actually added, we've also added HD keys, and we've also added some wallet watcher code that actually goes to the server and keeps that stuff in sync. So we've added quite a bit of stuff to it as well.
And from the sake of privacy, one of the most important and lowest hanging fruit in implementing privacy in Bitcoin is rolling and changing your addresses. And so HD wallet support was critical to be able to do that in the Airbits wallet, and we added that to LibBitcoin.
Okay, so hierarchical deterministic wallets, which is basically a way to create a group of Bitcoin addresses and key pairs from a seed, right?
Exactly. And we added that implementation, even though it was us that added it, though, I can't help but say that we are so grateful for Amir and all the work that he put into LibBitcoin, because we wouldn't be launching today without the work that they did.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. So you've got the person when they actually use the wallet, they're entering a PIN and a password and a PIN, basically?
It's actually a login, password, and a 4-digit withdrawal PIN, and those are the three things that you need to create an account on an Airbits wallet.
Okay, and I don't know how much of this you can talk about, but you're able to do the client-side encryption with basically that login, or does the PIN factor into it also? Or?
The PIN actually doesn't factor into the encryption. It factors into more just application behavior to prevent someone who just picks up your phone and it happens to already be logged in from sending money out. So it's just a withdrawal PIN. However, the login and password are the ones that implement the client-side encryption, and we're proud to say that since we use very strong native C++ code on both iOS and Android, we're able to implement really strong password hashing or password key stretching, stronger than we've seen in any other mobile wallet. And we actually dynamically change the password hashing strength depending on the strength of your device. If your device is faster, you have a new, say, iPhone 6 Plus with a strong CPU, we actually implement and encrypt, hash your password in a stronger way to make it harder to brute force.
Okay, and so, I mean, if you're talking about bringing Bitcoin mainstream and people being able to use it in a way that they're used to with, for instance, their mobile banking apps or whatever with the conventional bank, but yet you're also using this password to client-side encrypt their wallet. Do you have any features for people to recover their passwords or PINs if they lose them? And if not, what do you do in that situation?
So we have one current implementation which we've rolled out, which is a simple implementation which allows a user to optionally give or select 6 recovery questions and provide 6 recovery answers. The unfortunate thing is it does require quite a bit of entropy because this is a second password that encrypts their data. And so the answers have to have quite a bit of entropy, have to have a certain length, and upper and lower case matters, special characters matter. But if they do add those recovery questions and answers, that is a second way to get into their account, even from a brand new device. However,
but they don't have to use that option, right?
They don't have to use that option. It's presented to them along with a skip the step button as soon as they create the account. We do have in the works an alternative implementation that would require just 2 low entropy recovery questions and answers with a little bit of help from a server and a little bit of help of maybe an email token backup. It's not as conventional, which is why we're a little hesitant, but we're actively looking at ways for people to recover their passwords, which I think is really going to bring Bitcoin to mainstream. And we are working hard at it. We have hours of conversations almost daily about how to implement. I think we will be one of the first to implement a good solution that is usable by the masses for recovery.
Yeah, it's interesting because blockchain.info, I know, you probably get compared to them a lot because they do the client-side encryption in the browser. But if I understand it right with them, if you lose your password, that's it. You're pretty much screwed. There's really nothing that they can do.
Right. It's somewhat the same way for us. The good thing is that we do have that option. If someone knows they're going to be putting quite a bit of money into an Airbits wallet, just take an extra couple minutes and set up your recovery questions and answers, and that is a way out. And we've had people that have actually used it. They're like, I forgot my password, doesn't seem to work, let me use recovery, and it has worked for them. So we know that it can work, people are using it, it is tedious, we admit that, but it's an option.
So have you actually tested this with real live grandmas?
With real life grandmas, I think we've tested it with not the recovery questions and answers. Not that yet. So we'd love to invite any grandmas out there who are listening to Let's Talk Bitcoin to go ahead and download the Airbits wallet and let us know how the recovery questions and answers work for you.
Right. That's just the buzzword that you hear. Everybody says, we want grandma to be able to use Bitcoin. I'm sure there are lots of grandmas who can use Bitcoin. Nothing against you grandmas out there.
We do want to make sure, though, that if the grandma is having trouble, that she's at least capable of using mobile banking. If she's unable to set up recovery questions and answers on her mobile banking account, that she might still have trouble with an Airbits wallet.
Right, gotcha. Okay, so what's your business model? I mean, how are you planning to make money off of this? It's basically a free app that you can download, right? So how do you make money?
So it is a free app, and it's going to go open source at the end of this month, but we're looking at monetizing the business directory. So those are our listings that we've put in a huge amount of effort to curate, and we believe that we've got the most beautiful listings on Bitcoin and the most accurate listings, since we verify every single merchant as best we possibly can.
Wow.
Make sure that they actually take Bitcoin. We scrape Google. We have Google alerts when people announce things on forums. We look at Bitcoin Talk and Reddit. And so our first monetization strategy is to offer merchants premium listings, right, that they can pay for, and do it in a very Bitcoin fashion, in a way that, say, a consumer who likes a business can actually contribute into that tip jar of a merchant and give them premium listings. So that's something we'll be rolling out probably sometime next year. We think that is probably the primary and best way to monetize our entire business. And we're excited about it because it really it brings a very Bitcoin-esque style of business to what some people would call a Yelp business model, with a team of salespeople cold calling all these small business merchants, hammering them for revenue, whereas we can kind of put it out into the public in a somewhat private way.
Yeah, that's a really interesting model. I've never heard of anyone really doing that, so I'm curious to see how it works out for you guys. So how did you actually build this database of merchants? Like, maybe you can't really say, but is it basically geographically based? Like, does it integrate with Google Maps, or are you talking about internet-based businesses where people can spend Bitcoins?
So it is, first and foremost, a brick-and-mortar merchant directory, and you can search in most any city, country, state, province in the world, but we launched region by region. So at the very beginning, when we first launched our directory in March, we only had coverage of 3 states in the United States. But we knew that those 3 states, we had incredibly accurate coverage. And after that, we launched state by state by state. We announced it in various forums and in Facebook and whatnot. And our goal is to launch region by region. And if we are launched in your region, we have fairly high confidence that we're pretty accurate. Like over 90, hopefully 99% coverage that we're accurate.
Do you have a customer feedback mechanism for that? Like if you're not accurate, they can contact you or whatever?
Absolutely, and it's on our webpage, and people have contacted us saying, hey, there's this business that now takes Bitcoin, it's not in our directory, or this one no longer does, they used to. So we do have that mechanism, and people are using it. And so our take is if we're launched in your area, we feel pretty confident. If we're not launched in your area, don't even bother looking. Right? But be aware that, give us a nudge and say, hey, we'd love coverage in, back then, Massachusetts, and, that nudge might get us to cover your location. And we've done exactly that. We had a Bitcoin evangelist in Brazil say, we love your directory. Please get Brazil covered. I'll send you all the listings that I know of. And he even offered to do translation for us. So we said, okay, Brazil is now second in line from all the list of countries. And we got him covered. So that's our model. We definitely do it by hand right now, but we will be exposing what we hope is a great user experience for other people to add listings to our directory. And I'm a huge fan of autocomplete. I hate typing. So I think that if you start giving us a little bit of info, we should be able to extract what all that other info of that merchant is, what their hours of operation, description, pull some photos off their website and let that merchant do minimal amount of work to get listed.
Cool. Wow. All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
I want to add thanks for having us on the show. You guys are at Let's Talk Bitcoin have been a huge inspiration in not just my interest in Bitcoin, but actually the formation of Airbits. I remember listening to your show back, April, May of last year, and hearing that user experience was an issue for people and familiarity was an issue. And so I wanted to build something. I'd love to hear the feedback from you, especially you guys. But the inspiration was huge. Happy to be on the show.
Awesome. Okay, so how do people get the app and where do they find you online?
So if they can go to airbits.co, it's airbitz.co, and if they go to airbits.co/app, from their phone, that'll direct them to whichever app store they need to go to for Android or iOS. Or you just search for Airbits on either the Play Store or the iOS App Store and online on our webpage.
Cool. All right, right on. Thanks so much, Paul and William. I appreciate your time today.
Cool. Thanks a whole lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Let's Talk Bitcoin. Content for today's show is provided by Stephanie Murphy, Rob Mitchell, Dan Roseman, and the teams at Blocktech and Airbits. Music for this episode was provided by Jared Rubens and General Fuzz. This episode was edited by Denise Levine and Adam B. Levine. See you next time.